I have a hand in what my life is going to be. Do y'all believe that? Yes. Do y'all know that you have not more than you have like two hands. You have an entire body and a mind in what your life is going to be, yes? Everything that your life is because of you. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's all your fault. Your life is your fault. So I have a hand in what my life is going to be. And then understanding that that thing that is God, that is life, that is that creative energy, can only do for me what it can do what? Through me. Knowing that I am going to allow myself to be the conduit to allow it to do what it does through me. So this month is called Everything New. And you know, when you name a month, you kind of have to deal with the fact that that's what shows up, everything new. So last week, as I mentioned here last week, in the morning, I went and stood at Westlake and allowed them to ask me a bunch of questions about what was going on. And, you know, it was something I'd never experienced before in my life. I opened my own church. I created my own church 14, 15 years ago. So pretty much, I'm that kind of guy that got to do everything his own way. Right? So I pretty much did what I did, and you know, everybody. Now the truth is, I always listened, and if it didn't seem like a good idea, but this month with all new, everything new, when I was standing on that stage last week, there was a lot of fear in the room. There were a lot of questions asked me that were really coming from I don't want new. I'm not comfortable with new, and so the title of my talk tonight is Scary New. Scary new. Now, here's the thing about that. There was also a lot of people in the room that were very supportive, but the energy in the room around that scary new stuff, I totally get. I totally get that. Because it's scary. How many of you use the word afraid? No, a scared. A scared. How many of you use the word a scared? So when you were scared as a little kid, how many people were scared as little kids? Alex, you clearly were. Did you ever worry about the people under your bed or in the closets or anything? No, okay. Anybody else have anybody under their beds or in their closets? I know. What? Warlocks. Morlocks. Oh, I don't know what those are, and I'm glad I don't. But it's like I was scared as a little kid. Now, when we grow up, are you still scared of those things? Really? Just me? Okay. No, but I do laugh every now and then when I'm the only one home and the house is completely empty but with me and I hear something and I'm like, what is that? And that little scared boy suddenly comes out and I'm like, I checked that closet. Really? So I get it. I get that we all have within us these moments of us scared. So, how many of you watch Grey's Anatomy? Okay, is everybody caught up on it? Well, too bad. So, no, this is not a spoiler alert, sort of. So I watch Grey's Anatomy like a junkie. I save it all up for like all 26 episodes, and then I catch up on them when everything else is off. And then I remember that it's the best show on TV. It's really amazing. So somewhere in this season, because I don't know where I am in this season, they've hired somebody to come in to change things up a bit. In the series. And this woman's going to come in and she's going to change it up. And she's beautiful, and she's smart, and she's charming, and she's this gorgeous, wonderful essence of light, you know, and I totally saw myself in her. And so I'm watching this, but then I'm watching everybody around her be like not doing well with her changes. And she kept going, it's okay, you're going to get used to it, you're going to love it, and walked away. And I thought to myself, I am not like that. And then I thought, probably if you asked her if she was like that, she'd say no. Because we always don't see what we're like. So that's the Westlake experience, knowing that if I am blessed with taking over that center as their spiritual director, I don't want to be that woman. And I don't want to be that I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to be that person. But I also don't want to be that person here because we have gone through so much change. I mean, we moved out of a home that we were in for 14 years. And so this week we had a practitioner meeting, and I got to sit down with 20 practitioners and find out that none of them like it here. No, Karen Frost likes it here, but her wife doesn't. So I got to sit down and listen to all of that, and which is why, by the way, we put the wall up, to create a little more intimacy, which is why we opened the seats up, so that you had more view. So, which is why apparently they took they decided to change the floor, so now we have cement instead of wood, just to make it a little more unintimate. But all the things that we can do to make this place warmer, to make this place home. And it's scary for people. It's scary for people when there are new things coming along. And that's what I want to talk about today. Scary new. I want to talk about the scary things in your life that when they come up, you may not know what to do with it. Caressa jokingly said, what did you say? Oh, my husband left me and, my car broke down and my husband left me, but I'm happy. I get that. But when major things in our lives, or even not so major, when little things in our life happens, we have to figure out, where do we stand here? And when scary things come up, what we end up doing is we start clutching and trying to deal with that which is scary. And what do? That which we resist persists. So we get in there and we try to deal with the fear and the anger and the scariness, when really what we need to be doing is walking alongside it and saying, come on, let me help you. If you had a little boy who was scared, I'm going to use that word all the time now. If you have a little child that's afraid, what do? You don't get angry with them and go, there's nothing to be afraid of. And if you do, please talk to me. No, you take the child and you take it with you. That's what we have to do with all of this. So let me tell you. So what is scared? What is being scared? What is being afraid? Well, it's fear. By any other name, it's fear. So let me tell you what Ernest Holmes said about fear. He said, a mind filled with thoughts of fear has been known to momentarily stop or accelerate the heart. How many of you have ever been so afraid that your heart almost felt like it was going to stop? Yes? So, little story, some of you have heard this before, of when I did a show called The Hired Man. And I was behind the set. And what would happen in this show, it was a new English musical coming over from England. And I was playing the hired man who went from the age of 16 to 61. And I was 30-something at the time, so I was right in the middle. Now I could actually play it really well. The 16 would be pushing it, but I'd look like 61. So there I was. It was opening night in Philadelphia. My name is above the title, James Mellon as the hired man. And it was really exciting because they were hoping this was going to go into New York. And this was a huge musical, huge set at the Walnut Street Theater. And as they did it, they put me behind the set and then lifted the curtain out. So for 15 minutes, the audience was coming in, and I was hidden behind the set. But in order to get behind the set, I had to get my note from the musical director first, because I would start the show a cappella. So it's opening night, and I'm behind the set. And I'm standing there, and it's 10 minutes, and I'm really nervous. Anybody relate to that? I'm really nervous. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what was that note? Oh, my God, I don't know the note. And I look around, there's nobody in the wings. There are, but no one's paying attention to me. And I'm like, oh my God, the note. And so I was scared to death. I could literally feel my heart just pumping. And then the light went on. A little light right here which says, go. So the light goes on, and I was like, I'm a choice. I can run away. There are 1,000 people out there, every critic in town, the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, the New York Times was there. Everybody was there. And I thought, I can run, just leave. My family's there too, by the way. Or I can just go. I have no other choice. So I thought, well, obviously I'm going to go. So I just walked and started, oh, to be a hired man, throw me a luck penny. It was a very high song. Will ya? And I start singing, and then the orchestra comes in slowly. I actually thought, wow, I'm on pitch, until I saw the musical director going. And first I'm like, what? Really. And, and then I realized he meant like, come down a bit, you're sharp. So then I found it, and the song went on, and the show went on beautifully. And it was a 3-hour musical, which is why it never went to Broadway. But it was a 3-hour musical, and the journey that you get to take in this musical is like life, from 16 to 61. It's like life. And how often do we get to a point in our life where we basically say, I can't do it. I can't do it. And we run. And we run another way. Imagine if I had left, if I'd just run away. I had an understudy. I'm sure he would have been thrilled to just run right into my shoes. But I would have run away and stopped the show. How often do you stop the show that is your life? By running away. By letting the fear overwhelm you. By letting something in you overwhelm you that's not even real. Because here's what fear is. An unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something or someone is dangerous or a threat. An unpleasant emotion caused by a belief. So in other words, you can't even have fear if it's not attached to a belief. Because this is the way it works. You all heard me say this 1,000 times. Belief creates the feeling, and the feeling creates the emotion. So here's my belief. I feel it, and now if I want to, I can just emote it and allow that fear to be how I live my life, how I walk through my life. Now, John Livesey has a great thing that he says in his book and in his when he walks around and does all his gigs and his motivational speaking. And it's that when there are butterflies in your stomach, that's not the problem. You just have to get them to walk in formation, to fly in formation. Make sense? So your butterflies are fine. You just have to learn how to use them. So last week I went to speak at my daughter's school. Speaking of Grey's Anatomy, she's being taught by Debbie Allen. And they have this great theater curriculum where they do acting, singing, dancing 3 days a week to get them ready for professional life. So I went in to speak, and I think I told you all this last week, and I had all those pictures of myself, and it's a very interesting thing to suddenly stand in front of your whole life and your whole career and go, wow, look who I was. And it was an interesting evening. But this one little girl says to me, she raises her hand and she says, I have really bad stage fright, and I'm a really good singer and a good actress, and I'm a good dancer, but I just can't even get up there. I have stage fright that just stops me. Could you tell me, is there anything I can do about that? And without missing a beat, I went, no. And her little face was like, and I said, there isn't. There's nothing you can do with stage fright. Stage fright is a given. It's an absolute given. Barbra Streisand is paralyzed every night before she walks out there. I don't know any actor that doesn't have some little bit of something going on inside as soon as it gets quiet enough to realize you're about to go stand in front of people. It's just given. It's part of the game. The thing is, you either learn how to walk with it, use it, it's energy. Everything I'm talking about tonight is energy. Fear is consciousness. It is an energetic consciousness. That's all it is. So if you can walk your life with fear, if you can allow yourself to be nervous, if you can really do what you need to do and still have the fear going on, that's kind of what Caressa was talking about, being happy no matter what. So I have a question for you tonight, and it's this. What are you afraid of? So I want you to take a deep breath. And I really am asking the question, what are you afraid of? Find out what it is. Maybe a number of things, but let's pick one. What are you afraid of in your life? What comes up that you may be afraid of? And once you have it, I want you to sit with it. I want you to really look at it, really pay attention to it. What does it feel like? What does that fear feel like? Now I'm going to tell you this. Whatever fear you have, whatever you've picked, the feeling is real. That feeling is right there. One of mine is, I bet my greatest fear in life is that anything would ever happen to my children, that I wouldn't know. I just couldn't imagine that. and I know how I feel that. But there's a belief attached to that feeling. So when you say to yourself, I'm afraid of this is a big fear of mine. And it can be, I'm afraid I'm not going to succeed in life. I'm afraid I'm too old to actually do what I was put here to do. I'm afraid that I can never have the body I want. I'm afraid that I'm never going to be smart enough to do this, that, or the other thing. Whatever it is, and whatever that makes you feel like, it's because there's some belief behind it. That's the work. That is our work. What's the belief? When I have those moments and I think, oh my God, if anything happened to my children, I can't even imagine. I can't even watch Sophie's Choice anymore, one of my favorite movies. I just can't watch that moment when she chooses between the two children. Harrowing, right? But here's the thing. The truth is, the belief behind all of that, my real absolute belief behind all of that, is that there is nothing to ever fear. And that life will always be unfolding perfectly no matter what. And it doesn't mean, as Caressa said, that I'm going to walk around all the time being happy no matter what happens. Whatever happens, I'm happy. No. But underneath all of it is a truth, an absolute truth. And your job is, do you want to live in the world of the relative, in the world of your fears, in the world of all the things that are going on in your life? Or do you want to live in the world of the truth of who you are? So, in this philosophy, it gets very easy to get sterile and to get cold about what we believe when it comes to God. So this week, in my practitioner class, I decided to start the class off with what I knew would be a bit of a challenging discussion for my students. And I asked them to define love. And that definition caused, what would you say, Eric, about a half hour, 45 minutes of discussion, which is not how I planned my evening. But it was define love. What is love? Is it a feeling? Is it an energy? Is it cause? Is it? And by the time we worked all the way around the world and back again, we come back to Emerson's idea, God is love. Love is God. And then I got this beautiful email from one of my students. It was a very long email. I mean, not long. It wasn't epic. It took me about an hour to read it. It was a little long, but it was thorough and so rich. And it literally said to me, this is what you need to talk about on Sunday as part of this whole newness. And it's this. And the sentence that really got me was this. I miss, something like this, I'm paraphrasing. I miss the God that loved me. I miss knowing that there was something to love me. Anybody feel that way? You come into this teaching and all of a sudden you're God. It's like, oh, okay. And so it's like, okay. And it really hit me. I was like, oh my God, maybe that's what's going on. Because I went to Kyle Cease on Saturday, and Kyle had been asking me, come just see what I do. And I don't have a lot of time to just run and do things, but I made time after rehearsal yesterday to spend 4 hours, just go to the Alex Theater and spend 4 hours. And at the Alex Theater were 1,400 people from the age of like 16 to 100, most of them in the 16 to 40 category. And here's this hysterically funny man pretty much doing what ministers should be doing, certainly what I consider myself as doing, which is enlightenment through entertainment. Understanding that the entertainment value gives us things to learn and gets us to. But then I really got so big. He was explaining the idea of core beliefs, what I just did with you. What are you afraid of? Well, how do you feel? Now, what's the belief? Here's where we come into play. Here's why these rooms are so important. And here's what needs to happen in this next paradigm of understanding religious science or new thought. And it's this. There's something behind the belief that's doing the believing. Yes, here's my belief. Yes, it makes me feel this way. Yes, I feel these emotions because of it, and I live my life from that. And I can back it up each step and find the belief. But I'm more interested now, and now I'm out of my light. I'm more interested now. Never. I am more interested now in the believer behind the belief. Who is that? Who's the believer? It's not James Mellon, the individualized expression of God, which that expression right away feels a little antiseptic. I'm the individualized expression of God. And what does that mean? Because I don't think that means anything to people when they're living it in their lives. I'm the individualized expression of God. I get it cerebrally. I get it intellectually. But do I get it here? Do I get it in my gut? Well, here's what I finally got. And the person that wrote this email, here's my answer to this real question. If I can say it without crying. I grew up Catholic. I went to church every single morning. I was that little 7-year-old with a missal underneath his arm walking down the street saying, I'm going to church. See me? Watch. That's who I was. I wanted to be a priest. I was very much into the God that loved me. The problem is that the God that loved me also hated me. The God that loved me also smited me. The God that loved me also took things away from me when I didn't do what that God wanted. Judged me. Right. That's a big, big industry. That religion is a huge industry because that industry says there is a God to take care of you. There's a God that will literally do what you want God to do if you behave and follow our rules. That's what this side is teaching. And people are like, yes, I want to be loved. I want to be redeemed. I want to be not a sinner. I want. And then there's us over here saying, you created it, clean it up. Which church are you going to? I'm coming over here because I want to be loved. So this question was profound for me. It's everything new. I was thinking about doing all these new things in my life, but I actually think, bless you, Margaret, bless you, my child. See, I still do it. Yeah. I actually believe the new is a new understanding of God, a new understanding of love. And not just the I am God, but the way to understand I am God from a place of understanding God. Because here's what I got. I can miss, if I'm willing to look at it that way, the God that loves me. But I understand that God is in everyone. So tonight, there are all these faces of God loving me. How can I not be loved by God when I understand that God is you and God is you? I'm not even worried anymore about a God in the sky or a guy in the sky who supposedly loves me or doesn't love me. It's you. It's me. It's all of us. It's all of us. It's everything. It's the tree in my backyard, really. It's the ocean. It's my dogs. It's everything. It's everything. And so I can say I am God because I'm part of all of it. And I can also even understand that I am the entire ocean in a drop. But also understand that when I am the ocean in a drop, it's because I have dropped into the ocean. And I now feel one with everything. And that is who we get to be. And that, you can't do at the Alex Theater with 1,400 people. That must move out and find pockets to literally study and understand this teaching. So I did talk to Kyle about it, and he was like, I know, I should just be driving everybody your way. I said, knock yourself out. But that is the next thing. That's the next way of doing this. And there is a way to do this that doesn't involve church. Because church is unfortunately dying a bit. A lot. And it's time for whatever's next. But I think it can be us. And I think it can be understanding what's behind all of it. But it's going to be about the experience, folks. Enough of the talking. Enough of the theory. Enough of the words. What's behind it? Are you living this? It's about living this truth. It's not just understanding it. I've understood it for years, and yet I'm just starting to know it. And that's about dropping. Are you ready to spend some time dropping into your true self? Yes? That's who we have to be. I am born anew. When I drop into myself, and know who I am so profoundly that now I am happy no matter what. I see the world with very different eyes. And yet I'm there if I need to be compassionate. I'm there if I need to be understanding. I'm there if I need to literally pick someone up off the ground and let them know they are loved so that they can feel God's embrace around them. That's what love really is. Love is a consciousness. Love is the consciousness of knowing who and what you are to such a profound level that you cannot but pour yourself out. So I invite you to take a deep breath. Margaret? Robbie? Here's your opportunity, your first opportunity to drop. So let's do it.